All right, what's up, guys? Steve here, Dynasty Life, here with the boys.
It is the Polish Hammer.
And the Byglass special.
So tonight we are hitting you with a buy or sell on Mike Williams. So for me, I mean, he finished as a wide receiver one, right? Let's go over that quick. Okay. 129 targets, 76 catches, 1,146 yards, 9 touchdowns. Okay, so finishes as a wide receiver one, a little inconsistent, kind of went crazy in the beginning of the season and then cooled off. In short, I mean, I'm a buy on Mike Williams, especially for, Dynasty. I mean, he gets the contract, okay, he gets the extension. He's tied to Herbert, who's going to throw for 5,000 yards and almost 30 to 40 touchdowns. I mean, what more can you want? Keenan Allen's getting a little older as well. I think it's beautiful that people don't value him as a wide receiver one. And that is even more why I'm on the buy side, because you can buy him for not even paying for like a wide receiver one. So for whatever reason, people just have him still kind of in that wide receiver two category, probably because he just is injured or is very inconsistent. But I think now with Herbert, especially in the second year, I think you'll see a little more consistency. But Hammer, what do you think about Mike Williams? Are you a buy or sell? And yeah, what do you think?
Well, the beautiful word we like to use on this show is called full disclosure. So full disclosure, I had Mike Williams on my roster this past season when I won the championship, just in case you didn't know yet.
Can you get to the point?
Yeah, he beat me in the championship.
We've done this song and dance already. Can you just get to the point?
Yeah, Bagala, everything you Blanc, everything you laid out is just 100% accurate. I took him going into the season expecting wide receiver 3 numbers. He was my wide receiver 3 going into the season, just in terms of expectations. And those first 4 to 5 weeks were just phenomenal, as you could see. 18, 34. He did have a 1.6 game, but then week 5, 37.5. And I'm thinking, holy shit, I struck gold, not to mention 6 touchdowns in the first 5 games. So right off the bat, I was like, yeah, this is awesome. I struck gold. He's putting up wide receiver 1 numbers as my wide receiver 3. But then, as you said, man, he just went into a little bit of a tailspin for an entire month. He didn't catch a touchdown or go over 100 yards. And that hurt a little bit. Now, I stuck it out with Mike Williams. I didn't trade him, and I wrote out a little bit of the inconsistency. And as you said, he was a roller coaster for the rest of the season, up, down, up, down. I sold him. So for me, I was on the sell end of it just because I felt like he maxed out on what I could get for him, and what I traded to get for him, or what I got in return for him, was a pretty big piece in Jamar Chase. So for me, that was worth selling him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So if you can buy him at second round or wide receiver 2 price, I should say, then go for it. It's going to be hard to determine, if he's going to be more consistent, but the final tally of the numbers look really good. So I wouldn't get mad if somebody needed a wide receiver 2 and went out and bought him at wide receiver 2 price. That kind of seems like it fits the boat. The contract is huge. He's going to be with Herbert. You outlined all those things. So, if you can sell him and get something better in return, obviously packaging other pieces, then do that, because his value is pretty high right now. But if you need a wide receiver 2, he's about as good as it gets for a wide receiver 2. If you're relying on him for wide receiver 1, then you might be in a little bit of trouble just because of the lack of consistency and a little bit of the injury history. But the dude catches touchdowns. He's a big guy. He's got a young stud at quarterback. So, if you're looking for wide receiver 2 production, I would have no problem with buying.
All right. Bagar, what do you think?
Well, it's an easy buy. It's an easy buy on Mike Williams. Like, he has Herbert. He looks like he's coming into, you know, a zone here. The thing with Mike Williams is injuries. And that's where he went into a tailspin last year. He was banged up. And when he's banged up or he's hurt or whatever, he necessarily does not play good. And that's what when you get the boom or bust. I think he's going to take over a little bit more. I mean, Keenan Allen is still a beast, but he's getting up there. He's only 27 foot. So for dynasty purpose and for redraft, really, he's an easy buy because, you know, if he can stay healthy, he's going to give you 10 touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? So it's an easy buy. There's not a lot of guys out there that's, you know, better than Mike Williams at this point, and his situation is just so good. And you see the talent when he's on the field and he's healthy. So if you can get Mike Williams, you know what I'm saying? It's an easy buy. I wouldn't, if I had him, I wouldn't be wanting to give him up. You know what I'm saying? That's like, I would have to, you know, blow me away to like add him in a trade package or something like that. You know what I'm saying? He's 27 years old. You know, he got 2,000-yard seasons under his belt with 2 seasons where he had 10 touchdowns. And the other seasons where he came up short, you know, he was dealing with injury. So that's been his story. But if he stays healthy, he's an easy buy. You get Mike Williams, you target him, you go get him. I would like him on my team. And, you know, solid wide receiver too, with his issues. Now, if he stays healthy a full season, he could be a wide receiver number 1.
Yeah, and if you look at it too real quick, 3 out of the last 4 seasons, he's either had 1,000 yards
or close to double-digit touchdowns.
Close to double-digit touchdowns, right? So even if he becomes a little bit more of a touchdown-dependent guy, I think he's more than capable of thriving in that role. But he's a home run hitter too. We've seen him really catch a lot of those deep passes from Herbert and make some really explosive plays. And he had a couple of games, like as I was outlining earlier, where he had a 34-point game, a 37-point game, a 27-point game. So he can win you a week, any given week, by putting up 30 plus in a given week. So for me, it's just a consistency, man. That's something that I struggled with him last year. But you know, if you're gonna have him on your roster, you're gonna have to know that when you get him and ride it out. You know what I mean? Because the minute you take him out of your lineup and he goes for 30 points, you know, then that's where the real frustration comes in. If you have him, you got to keep him in that wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 spot, you know, depending on the rest of your roster.
Well, he's in such a good situation that you can play him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
You can play him and just roll with it. You know what I'm saying? But I think last year was the first time we all expected him to do something like this, and last year's the first time where it was like, you know, he actually stood out during the season. And you know, he got all of the tools. He got to stay healthy, and the situation just says that he's gonna produce.
And outside of him and Keenan Allen, as far as the pass catchers go, there's really nobody else competing for targets. I know they throw the ball to Eckler a lot, but there's still plenty of football to go around, which makes you feel really good, you know, from a target share standpoint.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, they re-signed, I think, what was it, Guyton, and then they still have
those guys don't really matter.
Palmer.
What's the other Palmer? Which Palmer filled in decently, but he still didn't really kind of take advantage as much as you kind of would hope.
Those are the 2 main guys.
Yeah, but those guys don't. Those guys aren't really.
Yeah, we know who the main guys are here.
And when you got Keenan and Mike Williams on the other side, that's really all you need. Like, you know, you can't double one guy, and because last year, you know, Mike Williams showed the ability to be able to beat coverage. So, you know what I'm saying? So they got a nice little core there. And
I will say this real quick though. I would like to see his catch percentage go up a little bit because he caught 76, but he had 130 targets. You know what I mean? So I would
He
like to
gets
see
some
those.
deep balls.
Yeah, but
No, he does.
He gets
that
some
could
deep balls though. That's the
yeah,
result of
that
just
could skew
of a
numbers.
deep ball catcher. That's all.
But-
Which is fine. That's only a 59% catch rate. I would like to see him get involved a little more underneath. I know that's Keenan Allen's area, but if you could bump that up to say 65, 68% catch, then you're looking at 90 grabs, bump up the yardage a little bit, you know what I mean? And really vault him into top, he was 12 PPR.
Yeah.
He could vault into the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I guess that's not really what he does or what they ask of him. So
and it's a bunch
I
of
don't
things
expect
also.
that to change. It would be nice, of course, but I really don't see that change. And I think you're still looking at the same kind of thing. Maybe he gets more targets, gets a couple more catches, but he's right there. I mean, he's wide receiver 1 as it is. So even a couple more of those deep balls changes,
It changes a lot of things too. And
Yeah.
but also that is a big difference right there. 130 targets to about 80 receptions. There are some drops in there too. You know what I'm saying? Those aren't all misfires and missed throws. So he has to catch a little bit better, but he's gonna miss some balls because in that offense, he is the stretch the field guy for them.
Yeah. I wasn't saying that it was off target throws. I just want to see the percentage go up a little bit, whether it's better throws or just, actually catching the balls. So like I said, if you could improve that catch percentage to about 68, it's at 59 now, 68% catch, man, his numbers could really be even better than they were this year.
Yeah, it could.
Yeah.
I like Mike Williams though, and for me, it's definitely an easy buy.
Yeah, so we're all in agreement here. Mike Williams is a buy.
Yeah.
So as far as what would we pay for him, if you're looking to buy Mike Williams, if you're going out to get him, I think Hammer touched on it before, early second round pick.
Late first,
maybe late.
I'd give him a first. I'd give him a first.
Contender, I had to give up a late first in a 12-team or 14-team league.
I'd give up a first.
So, it's kind of just up to you, I guess, as far as if you're willing to pay it or not, what your roster construction looks like.
He was involved in a couple of trades, so we could actually take a look at what.
Yeah, let's go over. I guess. Yeah, let's do some trades that happen actually in our league for Mike Williams.
I have it on the screen here. So I drafted him in the 11th round with the 1104. And then I did make
the 11th round pick.
And the value I got for him at the 1104 is just ridiculous. Wide receiver 1, as we touched on. And then early in the offseason, I traded Mike Williams, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Derrick Henry for KJ Osborne, Jamar Chase, and a 2023 first round pick. So for me, that was worth it. And that's what I had touched on earlier. I was getting Jamar Chase in the deal, so Mike Williams fit the package just in terms of what I was getting back in a bona fide number 1 for the next probably 10 years in Jamar Chase.
Yeah, well, you got the first round pick. You got Jamar Chase. You got Osborne, who is on the low, maybe under the radar.
I wouldn't say nothing though, because
he could bust out this year. No, I'm not saying nothing. He's good under the radar. And plus, if Thielen gets hurt again, boom, Osborne's right there.
I agree with that. Bagala, you're shaking your head. What's that all about?
No. He had a few.
But to be fair, BC Johnson is back. He was hurt last year. You got Irv Smith now healthy, so I don't know
Steve,
how much.
We've been waiting on Irv Smith for about 4 or 5 years now, man. Give it up. He's no good, and nobody wants to hear about BC Johnson. Move on. Move away from the Vikings.
Because you don't know that BC Johnson is going to be competing for that wide receiver 3 role. So you don't know if Osborne automatically wins.
Well, listen, all I know is when Thielen got hurt, Osborne produced pretty solid.
He had a couple of games where he did some things.
He did. All right, well, let's not get off topic here. So the trade was Derrick Henry, Juju, and Mike Williams for Osborne, Chase, and a 2023 first. Derrick Henry is just a ticking time bomb, especially in Dynasty. So I don't mind getting rid of him, especially if you're getting Jamar Chase back and you're getting a 2023 first, giving up Juju and Mike Williams. So at the time, Juju was not traded at that time, right?
He
No,
was. I believe he was. He signed with the Chiefs.
I mean, not traded. Was he signed with the Chiefs?
I believe so.
Yeah, he
Okay,
was.
he was signed with the Chiefs at that time. Okay.
So that increased Juju's value.
So yeah, but I still like the chase on the 2023 first side, especially since you do have Burrow. So that was a good move there. So yeah, I like that. Can't complain about that. But yeah, that's one Mike Williams trade, and then the next one was just recently.
Yep.
Devontae Adams and James Conner for Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, and a 2022. What pick is that?
First round.
First round pick.
I think it's the
So
110.
what pick that was? The 110. Okay.
Listen,
So the 110, Eckler and Mike Williams for Devontae Adams and James Conner. What do you guys think about that one?
I like it on both sides, really, to be honest, because the person who got Devontae Adams really needed a bona fide wide receiver one. And
we spoke about this actually. I think was it yesterday?
Yeah, we did.
We just spoke about in yesterday's episode. Me and Hammer touched on it, so we won't go crazy into it.
And to get James Conner was big to solidify because he has Nick Chubb and he has Derrick Henry. So James Conner is essentially his running back 3, which is tremendous. So I like the trade for both teams, to be honest.
So yeah, I mean, y'all could watch the other episode that we did yesterday with me and Hammer to see what we said. But Bagala, since you weren't there, what do you think about this trade?
It's a nice, even big boy trade. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. And with all of these trades, they work because Mike Williams is a good player. You understand? Like, if Mike Williams was not playing good, none of these trades would go through. He's
an asset.
He's an asset, and he's a main piece in these trades. This is why one team felt okay with giving away Devontae Adams. You understand what I'm saying? They're getting Eckler, and you look at, Devontae's all world. Don't get me wrong, he's all world. You know what I'm saying? But, Mike Williams is half of that. You know what I'm saying?
A little bit more.
A little bit more.
70%, 75%.
Yeah, so
production wise, anyway.
Yeah, so you know what I'm saying? I like the trade. The team that got Mike Williams and Eckler and the first rounder, that was a good move. You know what I'm saying? And and maybe he just wanted out of the Devontae Adams sweepstakes. Now everybody, doesn't like Derek Carr, a la Stevie. You know what I'm saying? Derek Carr was not really Stevie's boy, so.
No, but I was on that. I mean, I like initially, like when you actually dig deeper into it and look at the rosters, it definitely makes sense for both teams. So it's not
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But just initially looking at the trade, I prefer the Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, and the pick side compared to the Devontae Adams and James Conner side. Just initially looking at it, like,
Yeah, but you're looking at it from the outside. You're not in on everybody's situation and where the team is at. Dynasty is different. You know what I'm saying? Maybe for one season, redraft, maybe you don't do this trade, because then the first round pick is not there. But because you just can't give Eckler away, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever it is, because Eckler's really good. But redraft, even in redraft, from a redraft aspect, I still think it's a solid, even trade. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's almost the same. That's why I prefer the one with the pick, because if Mike Williams is healthy, I don't know how much far off he is from Devontae Adams. As if Mike Williams is healthy and he finishes in that top 10, Devontae Adams is up there too. Eckler is a little bit more than James Conner, I think, but they're relatively the same as far as fantasy points. But I think Eckler's got a little more.
Steve, you're bugging.
Because of the receiving.
With all them catching with the receiving.
Nah, if you look at it though, Bagala, James Conner had tremendous production last year. Eckler is definitely the better fantasy producer at this point because of the receiving, but Conner was just awesome. Yeah. And he re-signed with Arizona, and there's no more Chase Edmonds. So
but then stealing years. So I don't expect them to both do the same thing. I expect them to regress just a little bit, but they're relatively going to finish I think around the same as long as
Well,
both of them are healthy. But
haven't
Eckler, obviously in PPR is going to be a difference.
haven't we seen this story from James Conner though? All right, he's good. He's good in the split backfield where he's getting what 50% of the share. He did it in Pittsburgh, and then once they try and make him give him more work or 3-down back, he breaks down.
I don't know, dude, because he got
So-
That's a 3-down back in Pittsburgh. And
Huh?
then last year he just absolutely came in and
And
destroyed
balled.
and
Yeah.
took everything. You
Yeah,
know, so
well, when he puts it together consecutively, I like James Conner. He's really good. Don't get me wrong.
You-
You know what I'm saying?
You have to.
I just like Eckler better, but I like him.
I like Eckler better too because of his situation and just how
Yeah, of
know
course.
we know how they get him the ball.
That's what I'm saying. That upside with Herbert is it's freaking crazy. I don't know if
Obviously,
Eckler
Arizona
really
feels some
touchdowns
type of way
again.
because they shipped Chase Edmonds out of there, so they feel like, and they gave Connor a new contract in
Well, yeah.
Arizona. So,
He already
so-
proved it. He
so
proved
that's a big deal.
It definitely is, but let's see if this year. I'm just with James Conner in the past. He just always seems. Steve knows he's drafted him a few times. He's always seemed to once things really start turning for him. That first season or two in Pittsburgh, he looked good, and then he gets into the flow of being that featured back, and he kind of ends up always just underwhelming and underperforming and being injured when he's that featured back. It is what it is. I mean, it just is what it is.
He hasn't had bad injuries. I kind of feel the same way about McCaffrey. Like he hasn't had bad. He's been injured, but he hasn't had like horrible.
Don't get me started on
injury,
McCaffrey, please.
But anyway, getting back to it, Mike Williams is a buy. Okay, we're all right. Spend what you want to spend. I wouldn't spend more than a late first.
He's worth a first round pick.
But I think
I'm not saying that a early or mid first though. I don't think I would do that unless you're on a contending team and you need the piece. But
I think why he's gonna give you more than a incoming rookie's gonna give you. By a lot. So
of course he is for this season. That's why I said it depends on your roster.
Yeah, but he's also
if you're a rebuilding team, or you're not a Mike Williams piece away from winning the championship, I wouldn't give up the future capital and that value because you could take that pick and trade that for something better than Mike Williams.
No, of course not. If you're not giving it, but if you have multiple picks.
That's the thing. If you have a pick that high or in the mids, I'd go for somebody more than Mike Williams. That's just me.
But I think just by looking at it, you could see that you could package Mike Williams with other, decent assets and get a haul in return.
Oh, absolutely.
So yep. I think just trading him individually is probably not going to land you anything that's going to put you over the top, but including him in a package, as we just saw from the two trades that he was involved in, he could be a valuable asset to pry a big piece when you package him with other things.
Yeah. So we're not saying sell him, but if you are going to sell him, you better get something well worth it.
Because there's not a lot of other better options out there.
Or one of those top, guys, I guess, Jefferson, Chase. I don't know why anybody would want to give them up anyway. But I guess that'll do it for Mike Williams by himself. He's a buy. Go get him. Don't pay too much. So we out.
Caught in the Nostradamus.
There it is.